Confirmation of the MAGA movement's moral duplicity has arrived. They don't care about any crimes committed unless their adversaries commit them. Even if it's pedophilia, even if it's sex trafficking, they don't care. And breaking yesterday is a headline coming out. Kylie popped this up. DOJ deputy chief admits government will redact every Republican on the Epstein client list. And this really comes as no surprise to me. I mean, you know that this was a very important issue in MAGA. Trump and the people surrounding him ran on this. You have the FBI director, Kash Patel, his Deputy Dan Bongino saying they're going to be released. We're going to get to the deep, dark bottom of it. You have Pam Bondi lying and saying, oh, it's on my desk. I'm reviewing it. It'll be out any minute. You have Speaker of the House saying, oh, yes, we're releasing it. And then they start digging into it. And none other than Kanks is in the epicenter of it, and a lot of donors to Kanks. And so they're trying to cook the books, just like they're trying to do with the economy. So let's play this video.
Files do exist.
Yeah, thousands and thousands of pages of files. They'll redact every Republican or conservative person in those files, leave all the liberal, Democratic people in those files.
I think they visited that Maxwell person.
Yeah.
And also involved.
Got transferred to a minimum security prison too recently, which is against BOP policy because she's a convicted sex offender. They're offering her something to keep it on ship.
That was the
All right. So, I mean, we all kind of knew this, but to actually have somebody go undercover and find this out, and this guy, talking about it on tape, this is exactly what they're doing. But this is indicative of what they're going to do across the board. Facts and integrity and shining the light on the truth is not important to this administration. And so, of course, it's important to this horrific sex trafficking case and the people who propped up Epstein and the people who were compromised by Epstein. It's important that we shine a light on all of that. But this will eventually, this type of divorce from the truth, this type of disrespect for the truth and the rule of law is going to impact every single part of American society. So to all of you fiscal conservatives and social liberal voters, they're going to do this same type of double playing with the economy. Reports just came out, the jobs numbers in the tank, consumer enthusiasm in the tank, et cetera. Trump and his sycophants are going to cook the books and make up fake numbers, much like Russia has done. And then our economy will go the way of a third world country. But when this video came out, it came out by O'Keefe, James O'Keefe, and he doesn't have a lot of credibility. So originally, a lot of people were taking it with a grain of salt until Trump's own DOJ put up the following screenshot. Okay, so this screenshot is a note that was taken in airplane mode, because I'm sure their phones were blowing up over this. And it says acting director Pollock, and this is from the man in the video, allegedly, I assume. I met with a woman named Skylar on Hinge, a dating app, in July of 2025. Her profile is no longer findable. We had 2 dates, August 4th and August 16th. She claimed to be an au pair in Georgetown. She gave no clues that she was a reporter or recording our dates. Had I a clue, the first date would have ended immediately and there never would have been a second one. My profile indicated I did, quote, government work, but I did not specify for which agency. I never discussed what I do at DOJ. The comments I made were my own personal comments on what I've learned in the media and not from anything I've done at or learned via work. I have no knowledge of the circumstances surrounding Miss Maxwell other than what is reported in the news. So this is pretty interesting that they could have ignored completely and said, O'Keefe has no credibility. They could have just leaned into that and say, this is no credibility. O'Keefe is a conspiracy theorist. But they confirm it. They confirm every single bit of this because that's how incompetent this administration is. But I think we all knew this. I think the larger question is, how does MAGA absorb this information? Are there going to be members in MAGA that say, I don't care if it's a Democrat, I don't care if it's a Republican, I oppose child sex trafficking, no matter who did it? And so it's going to be interesting to see if this continues to penetrate the civil war that I think is brewing inside MAGA, because this Epstein case has been one of their core values, their core driving forces that unify, especially at the QAnon level. All right, let's move along here. J.B. Pritzker claims that ICE officers, along with military vehicles, are starting to amass outside of Chicago. And I want to remind the states' rights people that this is federal overstepping. He has not requested this. He is not, the president of the United States, Kanks, is not trying to work with Pritzker on this. This is complete overreach, which I'm old enough to remember conservatives opposed. Play the clip.
Well, it appears that they are amassing the ICE officers at the Great Lakes Naval Base, along with some military vehicles. It's been reported that there are about 300 of those officers that are planning on coming in and doing what they did in Los Angeles, which is terrorize the neighborhoods and cause mayhem. They're hoping in the end, their plan is to cause enough mayhem on the ground that they'll have to call in troops to protect the ICE officials. So that's what their aim is. It's not actually to effectuate removal of violent criminals. So, what they're doing is dangerous. What they're doing is un-American. And the idea that you're going to call military troops in to an American city, you can't fathom it. You couldn't make this up, but here it is. And the question, I think, for all of us is, are we going to stand up and let it and push back, or are we just going to let it happen? And at least in Chicago, I think there's a common belief that I think people will protest peacefully. I've encouraged people to get out their iPhones and their Android devices and film everything they see from the ICE officials. And then we've made sure that people on the streets know their rights. I'm talking about the people who are being gone after just because of the color of their skin. They're being targeted by ICE, or whether they've got an accent when they speak.
All right. So the Trump administration, you guys, overnight, it broke that 450 people were detained in an ICE raid in Georgia at a Hyundai plant. And these are working people. And the MAGA movement led this particular part, I believe, is led by Stephen Miller, because there is a very, very white supremacist, racist base within the MAGA movement. And they want to create this, when they say make America great again, they're not talking about a time where we had a president that wasn't a dictator. They're talking about a time where white men reigned supreme. All of the affirmative action was in their favor. And Black and brown people and gay people were further marginalized, demeaned, and rights were taken away from them. And white women, they're coming for your rights too. They already have with reproductive rights. But the militarizing of these big blue cities, in my opinion, and Pritzker has discussed this, they are trying to intimidate people from voting. Right now, he's putting the military in cities to prime us all to get used to it, so that we're accustomed to having tanks and soldiers against us. And the soldiers are accustomed to being against the very people whom they pledge to serve. And they're trying to get all of this in place right now because this type of regime does not want to give up power. So every single action that they are making right now is to help them control and obtain and keep power. And so I agree with Pritzker here. We all have to be vigilant. We all have to record. We're literally in the fight of our lives against just the most moronic, dangerously ambitious people, Trump and all of these crazy, evil people surrounding him. And nobody is coming to save us. You would think that big business might come to save us since we are the customers that have made them billionaires. Nope. Last night at the White House, they all sat around a cabinet table and heaped praise on Donald Trump in an absolute humiliation exercise. There's no objectivity. There's no fighting for the people who are their customer base, who have made them billionaires, who actually have to pay their taxes and don't have lots of loopholes. So we're in an incredibly dangerous moment, which brings me to, how did we get here? There are multiple reasons that we got here, but one significant person that contributed to this is Mitch McConnell and his manipulative maneuvers with two Supreme Court justice seats that should have been Democratic seats. And here we have a headline, some buyer's remorse. McConnell has warned of similarities between the contemporary political landscape and that of the 1930s. I mean, are they serious? Are you really serious? You had an opportunity when you led the Senate to impeach this man after January 6th. You chose not to because you're so scared of the base. I think what's fascinating to me about Donald Trump is he has all of these kept ladies. So in the biblical sense, they say, Old Testament, that women are supposed to submit to their husbands, coddle their husbands. Well, Trump basically has that with all of these MAGA men. They all submit to him. They all have to coddle him. And then Mitch McConnell is seeing the end of his career, and now he's trying to have moral clarity when he was one of the major architects of this moment. And of course, Merrick Garland was too. I'm not afraid to beat up on both sides. And I think one of the biggest failures of the Biden administration will be, despite having a lot of success with a lot of legislation, and I don't want to take that away from them, but the biggest failure historically will be the failure to not prosecute and rectify what happened on January 6th. Because look at how vulnerable it left our democracy. Look at how vulnerable it's left the most vulnerable in our society. And that's what we're defined by. How do we treat the most vulnerable? Well, in Trump's America, you treat them like shit and you make them feel worse. And then you get other people to pile on with your moral collapse. All right, that's all we have for today. Another uplifting episode of IHIP News. We'll be back later with more.